Hi, I'm here with the lovely Annalies Corse. How are you, Annalies?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. Now, your chapter, Methylation, I love, partly because I'm a total geek and partly because it's exceptionally well written. But one of your greatest gifts as a writer is how you integrate the science and the practicalities of naturopathy. So let's start with your history. How did naturopathy find you?
I wouldn't say it found me later. I think I was probably 23 when I started naturopathy, but I'd already had a few years working as a medical scientist. So that's the degree I did straight out of school. I went straight to uni and did medical science, and I did an honours year and then worked for a few years before I had a couple of little epiphanies that there was sort of more to health than just pharmaceuticals and good genetic fortune, and there was more to what was going on besides just the numbers and the data. As a medical scientist, depending on what rotation you're in or what field you're in, the data can look very different. Your data can be down a microscope or it can be just numbers coming at you. And I was fortunate to try lots of different areas. And I think for me, I thought about nutrition. That's all I thought about. And I thought you had to be a dietitian to work with nutrition. And it was after about 12 months of lots of different practitioners during my annual leave, naturopaths, dietitians, nutritionists, doctors. I thought about doing more science, but in the end, naturopathy was the best fit for what I wanted. So I went back to uni and I moved to Sydney, and that was
the rest is history.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, methylation is such a hot topic in the naturopathic community, but as a scientist and a naturopath, how do you see that it fits in how we practice, and where do you see its relevance?
Well, for me, there never has been, in my mind, a separation between science and naturopathy, because I believe that science explains a lot of naturopathy. It doesn't explain everything, certainly not. But for me, that's where the evidence base is. And I sometimes, and a lot of other people would say as well, that the science catches up with the naturopathic knowledge, and science provides a bit of the explanation for things that we've always known. Although it does worry me sometimes that maybe naturopathy would become too scientific and we may lose some of the art and some of the wisdom that is absolutely so important to naturopathy. But I feel if we're going to reach more people, and if we're going to reach more of the medical profession to show what we can do, we do need to be able to speak a little bit of scientific language. That doesn't mean changing who we are or how we practice, but it's nice to have the knowledge, and it's nice to be able to look at the body through, it's pathways. Methylation is really all pathways, and I love pathways. That's everything to me, is biochemical pathways. So for me, it makes a lot of sense. And I figure if it doesn't make sense to some people, or it's just starting to make sense for some people, I'm happy to, put a chapter out there that brings it to the fore a little bit more, whether it's for a medical practitioner or a naturopath or a student.
Definitely, because we're in these interesting times where the evidence base is really underpinning our practice, and it's helping us both validate it in certain languages. But it's interesting when I sort of take a step back now, looking at the entirety of the textbook. The methylation chapter immediately follows detoxification. So it's kind of like we've got things like hydrotherapy and detoxification and all these fundamental foundational principles of our practice. And then we've got this added science to it. And some of, like straight after yours is a genetics chapter and looking at SNPs and DNA and nutrigenomics and all this sort of stuff. So it's hopefully, the text is going to give everyone a taste of all of it. But I think it's just so wonderful to be able to have a topic like methylation, i.e. pathways, because we need to know it, and we need to know, the more we have to understand how we integrate into the medical community, and both our medicines and, pharmaceutical medicines and how they interact, we have to understand the pathways.
That's
so
right. Absolutely.
It's kind of a skill knowledge.
Yeah. Pathways are nature.
Yeah.
To me, that's what I've said to you before and to many other people. It is nature, and naturopathy is about nature. So to me, they're one and the same thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're not separate for me.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah.
But where do you see naturopathy moving, given your science background and, you know, your love of nature and your love of naturopathy? Where would you like it to go then, I guess?
I mean, if I could have my dream situation, I would want naturopaths in every GP clinic. That's what I would like to see. I would like naturopaths to, I sometimes wonder how we could integrate into a hospital setting. I know obviously in the emergency room it may not be the right situation, but certainly the way that our naturopathic diet, if we could have, this is my dream, this is all pie in the sky, but the food that's offered at hospitals, I think we could change that whole situation. This is all pie in the sky. I would love to.
It can happen.
Yeah, you never know. I would love to see naturopathy offered more at universities, in universities that offer pharmacy and medicine and medical science, all sort of working together. That's what I would like to see. I think there's a lot of really good things happening, but I also feel like we're still in some really fledgling stages. Even though we've come so far, I sort of feel like to get to that stage where we can reach more people, because we want to reach people from all walks of life. That's the other thing. Sometimes I worry that the only people that can maybe see a naturopath are people who can afford to, and that concerns me sometimes. We need to be able to reach people from, you know, like I said, all walks of life, and people, there are people who really need our help, and they don't even know that we exist. They still don't know that we're a viable option for them. Where we live and where my husband works, he's a doctor. He tells me about people that he sees that, you know, then they may not have the means to see a naturopath, or even for him, he wants to recommend certain modalities or to recommend certain practitioners, but it's difficult because they're just not quite there yet in their knowledge. So educating the public and creating awareness about us, really great education, us in GP clinics, possibly getting naturopathic food into the hospitals, you know, that's where I see it going, but we'll see.
So good things. It's interesting because, you know, I've spoken with obviously all the other contributors and things, and their perspectives. It's all fairly similar, and I think that it's wanting naturopathy to have a more anchored position in the healthcare system.
Yeah.
And hopefully that will happen.
Yeah, and it's happened for other health professional modalities, and I think it will happen for us. And it's just a matter of just keep doing what we're doing, you know, keep doing the work that we're all doing, making a difference in our clinics. If people are lecturing, if people are doing seminars for the public, all of those things, they're just going to add up. But like all good things, it does take time, and if we just, you know, if we all keep going, the effect is just going to get exponential. And it would be, I think it'll happen sooner rather than later. I think it's the trend is getting faster and faster as we go along.
Fantastic. Well, he's hoping that it all comes to fruition, but thank you again for your phenomenal chapter. Such a privilege to include it, and really looking forward to seeing how it opens minds and helps people understand a few more aspects about it all.
Yeah, I hope people enjoy reading it. Thanks for having me contribute. It was obviously a big honour, so thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thanks, Annalies. Thank you.
Thanks.